I never thought I'd find myself in this position, questioning everything I had built with the person I once considered the love of my life. My name is Ethan. I'm 28 years old, and for the past 3 years, I was in what I believed to be a stable, loving relationship with Sophie. She was everything I wanted: smart, beautiful, driven, and she made me feel like the luckiest guy alive, or at least she used to. The moment everything changed was an ordinary Tuesday night, a night so painfully normal that I should have known something was coming. We were sitting at our favorite diner, the one where we had our first date, sharing a meal like we had done 100 times before. She was talking about her work, some marketing project she was excited about, while I was halfway through my sandwich when she dropped the bomb. "Hey, what would you think about trying an open relationship?" My hand froze mid-bite, the food turning to ash in my mouth. For a second, I thought I had misheard her, that maybe she was joking, but when I looked up, her expression was serious. Not nervous, not uncertain. Serious, like she had thought this through and was simply waiting for my approval. I swallowed hard and put my sandwich down, my appetite suddenly gone. "Why?" she smiled, reaching across the table to take my hand, as if this was some casual suggestion. "I've been reading about it online, and it seems like something that could be good for us. It would help us grow, you know. We're still young, and I don't want us to look back in 10 years and wonder what we missed out on." Missed out on? My mind raced as I tried to process what she was saying. We had always been enough for each other, or at least I thought we were. Had I been blind to something? "So, is there someone specific you want to see?" The words came out flat, but inside my heart was pounding. She shook her head too quickly. "No, not at all. This isn't about someone else. I love you, Ethan. This is about making our relationship even better." Her words felt hollow. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something about the way she was pushing this so confidently made me think she had already made up her mind. I should have said no right then and there. I should have told her that I didn't want to share her, that I wasn't interested in exploring when all I wanted was her. But instead, I heard myself say, "Okay." I don't know why I agreed. Maybe because I was afraid of losing her. Maybe because deep down, I knew this wasn't a choice. She had already decided. That night, she was happier than I had seen her in months. She kept talking excitedly about setting up dating profiles together, about boundaries and rules. I barely heard any of it. My mind was stuck in a loop, replaying the moment she asked, the way her eyes had lit up at the possibility of being with someone else. When we got home, she curled up against me on the couch like nothing had changed, like she hadn't just thrown our relationship into uncharted territory. I stared at the TV, barely paying attention to the show, while she scrolled through her phone with a small smile on her lips. I went to bed that night, listening to her steady breathing beside me, while I lay awake wondering how the hell I had gotten here. The next few days were surreal. Sophie wasted no time setting up her dating profile. She asked me to help pick her pictures. "Which one do you think is better?" She held up two options, one where she looked effortlessly stunning in a sundress, another where she was in a tight red dress I had never seen before. I forced a smile. "They're both good," she giggled. "I think I'll go with this one," she said, choosing the red dress. She was excited. She was actually excited. Meanwhile, I dragged my feet on setting up my own profile. It felt wrong. Every word I typed in my bio felt like a lie. What was I even looking for? Someone to distract me while my girlfriend went out on dates. Sophie, on the other hand, got matches fast. Within a week, she had 3 dates lined up. "Look at this one," she said one night, shoving her phone in my face. "He's a personal trainer, super fit. We're getting coffee tomorrow." I nodded, pretending it didn't bother me. But it did. The first time she got dressed for a date, I almost lost it. She wore that new black dress, spent an hour on her makeup, twirled in front of the mirror. "How do I look?" she asked, smiling. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Great." She left, and I sat alone in our apartment, staring at the empty space she left behind. She came home late that night, laughing softly to herself. She smelled different, like expensive cologne that wasn't mine. She climbed into bed without a word, texting someone until she finally fell asleep. The next morning, she was glowing. I watched it happen night after night. She went on more dates, came home later, stopped reaching for me in bed. Our Sunday morning pancakes. Suddenly she had brunch plans with the girls. Our movie nights? I have a date that night, babe. Rain check? She was slipping away, and I couldn't do anything about it. 3 weeks in, I finally cracked. Don't you think you're going on a lot of dates? I asked, keeping my voice casual. She looked at me like I was being ridiculous. Isn't that the whole point of an open relationship? I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and ask why she was doing this, why she was so eager to be with other people when we used to be enough. But instead, I just nodded. Yeah, I guess so. I needed to get out. I needed to breathe. I ended up at a quiet park, sitting on a bench, staring at my phone. I wanted to call someone, talk to someone who would understand. And then I thought of Emma. Emma, Sophie's best friend. Kind, funny, always there. She had been around since our relationship started, always offering a warm smile, always asking how I was doing. So I texted her. Hey, you busy? Within minutes, she replied. For you? Never. What's up? I hesitated, then typed. Can we talk? Emma showed up with 2 cups of coffee, no questions asked. She took one look at me and sighed. Yeah, you look terrible. I laughed, a real laugh, for the first time in weeks. Thanks. Seriously, Ethan, what's going on? And before I could stop myself, I told her everything. I told her how Sophie had been disappearing on dates, how I felt like I was slowly being erased from my own relationship. Emma listened, really listened. When I was done, she shook her head. That's not an open relationship, she said. That's just Sophie doing whatever she wants and expecting you to be okay with it. Something about hearing her say it out loud made everything click. This wasn't about us growing. This was about her leaving. And maybe it was time I let her go. I sat there with Emma, coffee cooling between my hands, feeling the weight of everything finally settle in. The past few weeks had been a slow unraveling, each moment pulling at the seams of what I thought was a solid relationship now. Sitting across from someone who actually saw me, who actually cared, I felt a shift. A crack in the surface of the reality I had been forcing myself to accept. Emma didn't say anything for a while. She just watched me like she was waiting for me to realize something on my own. And maybe I did. Maybe that was the moment I truly understood. Sophie didn't love me anymore. Maybe she hadn't for a while. She was just keeping me around, using me as a safety net while she tried on different lives with different men. So what are you going to do? Emma asked finally. I exhaled, rubbing a hand over my face. I don't know, I admitted. I feel like an idiot, like I should have seen this coming. Emma tilted her head, considering. People don't always show their true colors right away. Sometimes it takes a situation like this to see them for who they really are. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I just don't know what my next move is. Well, she said, taking a sip of her coffee, maybe you should stop worrying about her next move and start thinking about yours. I thought about that the entire walk home. For weeks I had been sitting on the sidelines, watching Sophie live a life that didn't include me. I had let her dictate the terms, let her set the rules. Maybe it was time I stopped playing along. When I got home, Sophie was already back from whatever date she had been on. She was lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. She glanced up when she saw me. Hey, she said, like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just spent the past 3 weeks treating me like an afterthought. I stood in the doorway watching her, watching the way she barely even looked at me. Something in my chest clenched. We need to talk. Her eyebrows lifted, but she put her phone down. Okay, what's up? I sat down across from her, feeling calmer than I had in weeks. I'm done, I said simply. She blinked. Done with what? This, I gestured vaguely. This whole situation. This so-called open relationship. I'm done pretending like this is okay. Her expression twisted, like she hadn't expected me to actually say it out loud. Ethan, come on, we talked about this. No, you talked, I interrupted. You decided this was what you wanted, and I went along with it because I was scared of losing you. But let's be honest, Sophie. You checked out of this relationship the second you downloaded that dating app. Her mouth opened and closed like she was searching for a defense. That's not fair, isn't it? I leaned forward, my voice steady. You told me this was about us, about growing as a couple, but the only one benefiting here is you. You get to go out, meet new people, have new experiences, and I'm just here, waiting, like some kind of backup plan. She flinched. It's not like that. Then what is it like, Sophie? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks a hell of a lot like you just wanted to see other people without dealing with the consequences of breaking up. Silence stretched between us. She looked away, crossing her arms. I didn't think you'd take it like this, she muttered. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yeah, well, turns out I have some self-respect after all. Her gaze snapped back to me. So what? You're breaking up with me? I met her eyes. Yeah, I think I am. For the first time, real panic flickered across her face. She sat up straighter. Ethan, we can talk about this. There's nothing left to talk about, I said. You wanted freedom? You got it. Congratulations. I stood up, heading for our bedroom to grab my things. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I knew I couldn't stay here anymore. Wait, she called after me, voice suddenly small. Where are you going? Somewhere that isn't here, I replied without looking back. I packed quickly, stuffing clothes into a duffel bag, ignoring the sound of her footsteps hovering in the doorway. I could feel her watching me, could feel the weight of everything unsaid pressing against the air between us. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. I paused for a second, then turned to face her. Maybe not, but it did. She didn't try to stop me when I left. I crashed at a friend's place for a few days trying to get my head straight. Sophie texted a few times, but I didn't respond. I knew if I did, she'd try to reel me back in, try to convince me that we could work on things. But I didn't want to work on things. I wanted to move on. And Emma, well, Emma was there. She didn't push, didn't ask for anything, just offered quiet support. We hung out more, watched bad movies, ate too much takeout. It felt easy, real. One night she looked at me and said, You know you deserve better than what she gave you, right? I nodded. Yeah, I do. And for the first time in weeks, I actually believed it. A month later, I ran into Sophie at a coffee shop. She looked surprised to see me. Hey, she said hesitantly. I nodded. Hey, how have you been? Good. And it was true. I was good. Her eyes flickered, like she wasn't expecting that answer. I miss you, she admitted. I sipped my coffee. Yeah? Or do you just miss knowing I was always there? Her mouth tightened. She didn't have an answer for that. I smiled, but there was no bitterness in it. Take care, Sophie. And just like that, I walked away. I didn't look back. Emma and I sat on my couch, the glow of the TV casting soft shadows around the room. It was quiet, comfortable. She was grading some papers, her pen tapping lightly against the sheets, while I scrolled through my phone, sipping a beer. For the first time in months, I felt steady, like my life had finally fallen into place. Sophie, on the other hand, was unraveling. I had seen glimpses of it through mutual friends, little whispers about how she wasn't handling things well. Her dates had slowed down, her posts on social media had become more erratic. Cryptic quotes about regret, about how people never appreciate what they have until it's gone. It was funny in a way. She had fought so hard for her freedom, for a life of endless possibilities, but now she seemed lost. One night she texted me, I made a mistake. I stared at the message, feeling nothing but a quiet sort of finality. Months ago, I would have dropped everything, would have run back, eager to fix things, eager to be what she needed. But now I just saw her for what she was. Someone who never really knew what she wanted. Someone who had taken everything we had for granted. Emma looked up from her papers, noticing the expression on my face. What's wrong? I turned my phone around so she could see. She skimmed the message and let out a small laugh, shaking her head. Of course, I echoed. What are you going to say? She asked. I thought about it for a moment, then started typing. No, Sophie, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. I hit send, and that was it. No long explanations, no second chances. Just the truth. Sophie never responded. Weeks passed. Life moved forward. Sophie faded into the background. Just another lesson learned. Emma and I, we took things slow. There was no rush, no pressure. Just two people who had found something real in the wreckage of something broken. But I knew one thing for certain. For the first time in a long time, I had chosen myself. And it felt damn good. So, what do you think? Did Sophie get what she deserved? Was I too harsh? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've ever been in a situation like this, I'd love to hear how you handled it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories. See you next time.